Greg Wilkinson, reporting for Hope from the Hearts of Montana. This morning, I'll be going inside and talking to some staff members, hopefully a nurse and a doctor, and I'm out in front of the Roundup Memorial Healthcare, Billings affiliate, and it's associated with Billings Clinic. I know a lot of people always hear stories about rural clinics closing, and that would be a disastrous thing in a community like this. A little windy, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Well, I'm gonna cut it short here, and we're gonna go inside and hopefully get some good stories from these fine people. Sorry it's so dark. Okay, so we have Megan Griffith, nurse RN, and Dr. Kurt Lortz. And I think we'll just start off by asking Megan, how did you get into nursing?
So when I was a sophomore in high school, there was a pretty bad car accident. One of my classmates and 3 of my other friends ended up dying in the accident. 2 of the kiddos survived. And kind of from there, I just decided I wanted to help people and be there for people at their worst times. So that's kind of what got me into nursing. And then during my last clinical rotation in nursing school, my grandpa ended up really sick and ended up on hospice in Lewistown, and ended up being the first patient in their hospice house there. And so it was a pretty special experience just getting to take care of him. I was in my home health clinical, and he was a patient during my rotation, so I got to go out to where they lived in Stanford, and he had taken a turn for the worse that day, so it ended up being like a 15-hour clinical day, and we transported him to Lewistown to the hospital, and kind of went from there. And then I graduated from nursing school about a month later, and so that kind of launched my nursing career.
You spent some time at St. B's, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I was there for about a year. I really loved orthopedics, so I worked inpatient orthopedics at St. B's. As far as patient experiences there, one that really sticks out in my mind, we had an elderly patient who had a hip fracture, very low likelihood of making it through surgery. Dr. Drake was the surgeon at the time, and the family wanted to go ahead with the surgery. And I was just amazed at the compassion that he had with this family. And the patient ended up making it through surgery, and it was just a really special experience.
Oh. I see you've had some experience with Dr. Lortz too, according to some notes I see.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are a team. That's one thing I want to emphasize. You guys, you're side by side. You've been through a lot. You are a team, and he just nods. He doesn't speak. So you want to talk some more about your experiences?
Yeah, so I'll start. So my biggest thing, I'm chatty, as you know, and when I room patients, I do try to dive into their lives and talk to them about how they're really doing. Not just from a healthcare component, but from a wellness, and what are they going through in their lives. And Dr. Lortz is incredibly patient. Sometimes it takes me longer to room patients, and he never interrupts me, and I appreciate that because I feel like we're able to give better care because of it. And then we had one middle-aged patient. We ended up going on a home visit, and she had taken a turn for the worse, and we got there, and she ended up having to come to the hospital. And while we were waiting for EMS to get there, he sat there and held the hand of this dying patient, and like the look in his eyes just spoke 200 words.
I bet that was really hard, wasn't it, Doc?
It was. We had met her about a year before and kind of lost track of her, and then she showed up again on our radar a month or two before before she passed.
Keep going.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Okay. So, well, when I started in Roundup, I started working here about 3 weeks after my dad died, and really felt completely lost in my world, personally and professionally, and didn't actually know there was a clinic in Roundup. Interviewed here on a whim. I was commuting to Harlowtown from Grass Range 4 days a week, had to be there by 7, and couldn't do the commute anymore. So I live about 45 miles north of Roundup, and I started here, and I met this team of amazing people. Dr. Lortz wasn't here at the time, and they really helped heal me, and they gave me the support that I needed to move on in my life and become who I am now. And we've had just so many experiences here that have amazed me. We had, when we were doing COVID vaccines, I was doing all of the vaccine scheduling, and it was just a mess. We had a wait list of hundreds and hundreds of patients, and I remember I made my first call to a patient and told them we finally have the COVID vaccine, and this was at like 7 o'clock at night that I called her, and she was just so relieved that she just cried and cried and cried and cried. And that was an amazing experience. I feel like every day we help patients navigate a healthcare system that is hard for us to navigate, and I couldn't imagine having to do that without having some sort of knowledge. And so that's especially in the last year, I would say, has been a pretty significant portion of just sitting down with patients during the middle of the day to try to help them with their insurance and what route to go. One of my, I guess, favorite things too, so I wasn't married yet, didn't have kids yet when I started here, and since that experience, just how many anxious mamas we've been able to help. They always say, I'm sorry, I don't feel like I need to be here, but I need some support.
Yeah.
And so they come in, and it helps their mama hearts, makes them a little less anxious. The other experience I've kind of had recently, my best friend, she lives in Lewistown. We actually went to nursing school together. She has one kid. She's not married. Her kiddo's 12, and she, in the last 3.5 years, has been a surrogate for 2 different families who they each had one baby and then had a medical emergency, so couldn't have any more pregnancies. And so this last year I was able to go to Seattle with her and got to be there when they did the embryo transfer. And just she's one of my most amazing stories of hope.
Anything else you want to talk about? You got 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, kind of, in addition, why I do what I do, I guess. When I turned 30, my sister got me this whole stack of books on just making your 30s the best time of your life and really discovering who you are. And so I had my first trip just by myself to go visit her in Oregon was about 3 years ago. And I just really realized, like, finding what it is in life that helps fulfill your soul and being able to be vulnerable and offer patients a safe place to be vulnerable and a safe place to cry. And that really...
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find a safe place to cry.
Yeah, it is. And patients always apologize for crying in the room. I'm like, it's okay. That's what we're here for. And sometimes I cry with you.
Yeah.
And just really having, such a short time to make a difference in these patients' lives. Sometimes I only get 5 minutes, but being able to be that safe place and...
Well, I imagine the schedule's pretty busy here anyway.
Yeah, it is. And just being able to, have one piece of positivity in their day if they're having a crappy day. and to offer them a smile. And he has a lovely sense of humor. And
Yeah.
so that's helpful as well.
Yeah. I have one question for Dr. Lawrence. I know you, I saw that. If you could write a prescription for humanity right now, what would the prescription be?
Oh, everyone needs to just relax.
Just relax.
Yes.
No.
It's just everyone needs to take a deep breath.
Good prescription.
It really is.
Yeah.
I always ask patients, you know, how are you really doing versus how are you doing? And, you know, kind of getting to their core and really realizing that cherishing humanity and vulnerability is at the core of that. And I'm right now, and I'm enrolled in my master's in public health program through UC Berkeley, and that goal, you know, came from working in Roundup and really realizing that humanity is at the core of all of this, and it's at the core of what we're doing.
Well, we're just about out of time, so unless you have something else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Well, the man that doesn't speak much, he just smiles. You remind me of one of those puppets, you know, and Dern Dunham, Jeff
Oh,
Dunham.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know which puppet you would be, but you know, it just smiles.
Well, sometimes
Yeah.
that's all people need.
Well, I know
It is.
I know the listeners and viewers are going to really appreciate what you do. I know they are, because you touch people's hearts every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of your behind the scenes look that people don't get to see. And that's what I love about doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I do.
Thank you, Greg.
So in retrospect, today's interview at Roundup Memorial Hospital, I realized after reviewing the tape that it isn't just medicine. It's not all about medicine there. That clinic offers something that you cannot get in the big cities. And that's why it's so important that we keep these rural hospitals open, because they practice something that nobody else gives you. They offer dignity. They can make so much more money in other states if they wanted to, and they don't. They devote themselves to the care and the love of the patients, but they prescribe dignity. Dignity. My hat's tipped off to you people, and God bless the work you do. And thank God little hospitals like this are open for the elderly and anyone else who's hurt or injured. I don't know what we would do without you.